Paul Savage here, coach of the world's strongest woman, Rebecca Roberts, and going to talk about what's next for Becca. We're getting some questions about the Arnolds. Firstly, to cover that, no, she's not doing the Arnolds. No, she didn't get an invite, and it is what it is. It's a good thing in some ways, it's a horrible thing in other ways. Horrible especially because the events would suit her down to a T. They would have been the best events she'd ever have had in a competition. I think it's 3 wheelbarrows like a farmer's wart. I think they've got thick handles, and it's up to £600, so the heaviest it's ever been. Then there's a yoke up to £800 the same way, which is 3 different weights, which is how I train her anyway, going up in kind of a ladder on it. So it suited perfectly, and just being heavy, perfect for her. That's exactly what she likes. I think there's a max stone that obviously suited down to a T. So one time there's been a max deadlift in a big competition. I think it's from 12-inch, which would be a little bit better for the shorter competitors, but she was still, deadlift's been looking really, really good, so she'll still be getting good points on that. The Viking press is the overhead event, which is her best overhead. I think it'd be very hard for anybody to beat her on that, to be honest. And then there's a bag toss for height. So that'd be better for her than the typical way of doing it, to be honest, as well. And again, it's a good event for her, so really no bad events whatsoever. Some really, really, really good events for her. It would be very, very hard to beat her, to be honest. But that said, which obviously, yes, that is disappointing, but that said, it's also kind of a good thing, because now she gets to actually have an off season. So if you don't have an off season, you're gonna struggle to peak as high for the big competitions throughout the year. Obviously, the most important one to us is World's Strongest Woman. She really wants to retain that title for as long as possible, win it as many times as possible. Yes, the Arnolds is another big one, but there's also the one in Dubai, which unfortunately, again, she didn't get an invite to last year, and they were really great events for her. But that's quite a big money competition. I think it was $10,000 last time, with everything paid for in terms of like your hotel and your food and everything like that. So getting an invite to that, hopefully later in the year, would be good. Maybe possibly Rogue might put on a competition. There's other possibilities of big competitions other than the Arnolds. So it's good to have the off season instead. Looking at the positive side of it, you're always trying to stay positive. There's no point in just being negative about it, just being like, oh, why. So getting the actual off season really good, because you can kind of go a bit lighter. Give your body a bit of a break, kind of cleanse your system out, and it really does help you in the long term to kind of have that break, a little bit of a mental break as well. Like recently in training, not been like killing her, I've not been pushing her too hard, kind of getting a little bit of a mental break, and still now she's not training particularly heavy. Actually, so I'm not bothered too much about her strength. Actually, this might sound a bit stupid, but she is strong enough now to win another major title. So, like in terms of her strength, her strength when peaked is strong enough to win another major title if she didn't improve her strength whatsoever. And she's still in her 20s, she's very young, she is going to get stronger, I have no doubt about that. As long as she doesn't get major injuries, she's going to get stronger, just doing basic, strength principles over time. That's a guarantee, as long as she doesn't, get too badly injured. So I'm not too bothered about the strength, I'm more bothered about a technique. So getting a technique right first and foremost is going to stop her getting those major injuries, because as you get stronger and get into these big weights, the competition's getting heavier and heavier, just like that 800-pound yoke at the Arnolds, for example, you know, you're more likely to get injured if your technique isn't spot on. So, and also, if there's anything lacking, it's not strength, it's not speed. She's incredibly fast now with her moving events. You know, her strength is pretty dang good now. As I say, will get better. Her endurance is very, very good. You can always improve your fitness, of course, but the physical side, you know, I'm very happy where she's at. I was very happy with that for World's Strongest Woman, but the skill I'm not particularly happy with. So there's certain events that she's doing very, very well. Deadlift skills come on a lot. I really like how her deadlift looks now. But then certain events she's not hardly done them at all, so they're lacking in terms of skill. And then certain events where she might be kind of like naturally suited to because of her height. So height and a build. So like stones, for example, she's got them long arms, and she's got that height where she kind of just mong it onto the platform and not have to really get the right extension. And you know, it's not normally you'd roll the Atlas stone up you as you extend. She don't really do that. She just kind of mongs it onto the platform, and that was the only real reason. Yes, she had knee issues, so she couldn't squat the stone, which obviously, yes, it makes it 10 times easier if you can squat the stone. She really couldn't do that too much because she had knee issues, but she still would have won the stones at World's Strongest Woman if she had better technique. So the only real reason was that she just didn't roll the stone up her body and, you know, apply her force in the correct manner and extend properly. So it didn't go on the platform on the last stone. That's the real, like, if that changed, she would have won the stones for sure. So it's things like that. Like circus dumbbell, I know, like, for her next competition, it's probably going to be UK Strongest Woman. Glenn, the promoter, likes to do circus dumbbell. So if that comes up, before now, she had only done that maybe 10 times, like, I think 4 years ago, up to about 40 kilo. So, you know, she's not going to do that. Is a very much, it doesn't matter how strong you are on that event. It's really, really skill based. So things like that, just making sure there's no kind of event where she's not familiar with it and just getting her technique better. Like, a lot of people don't realise how important technique is. It's obvious that, you know, technique is relevant to everybody, I'm sure, but they don't realise maybe quite how much or quite how technical some of the events are. They are really, really technical. It's no different than, you know, playing tennis, or, I mean, it's more like kind of like a decathlon because there's so many different things, but it's no different than playing tennis or rugby or football, like, in terms of skill. Skill is hugely important. You've got your power meter, or say your physical meter, and then you've got your skill meter as well. You need both of them to be high in order to be successful. So, for example, we talked about the stones. Olga, who won the stones, her power was probably maybe, let's say that's a 7. Becca's was maybe a 9, but Olga's skill level was a 9, and then Becca's skill level was like a 5. So it didn't add up to as much. You've got to add up both the skill and the power or speed, whatever it's important for the event. So focusing now on skill in this off season, which for skill, the more often you can do something, the better. So yes, these events are taxing on the joints and things like that, so you've got to be a little bit careful, got to be light, very gradual build on things. So I've still got goals in mind in terms of numbers, but the main thing for it is just learning the techniques, especially on, say, the events that she hasn't done much for, like duck walk is one, for example. So circus dumbbell, getting that technique on stones, really important. Like certain events, she's technique is very good, like yoke is very good, farmers it's very good, deadlift's very good. Yes, of course, she does know, she is very skilled on most of the events really. But like again, like bag toss for example, because of her height, she can kind of just mong it up because of range she can get. Really working on a technique on that now, and really utilising her power properly, and not just monging it up and just using that power. It's one of those events where it needs to be like a relaxed explosion and actually get your power in the right direction in terms of where the bag goes. Not just mong it up with your shoulders and do this big massive deficit pull and use as much range as you can. You need to get in a strong position and really explode with as much muscle as possible, as much advantage as possible as you can get with where you put your body. So these kind of things, just working on them, doing several events, maybe changing things up, but working on like farmers, sandbags, stones, log press, circus dumbbell, medley type things, tire flips, just a general base of events. I don't really want her to do at the moment deadlifts and squats and yokes and things like that, because it's taxing on your nervous system, and we're trying to do these things daily or close to daily as possible, and those things are kind of just more taxing in general, and say taxing on your nervous system and just hard to recover from, and putting a bit of pressure on your spine. So we're not trying to load the spine too much. We're trying to give knees like a little bit of a break from the heavy stuff, and spine a little bit of a break, and not really risk too much injury and just work on the techniques. So that's what I'm going to be doing for a while with Becca. And yeah, I've got some goals in terms of these events for the next few weeks. Now, if she doesn't hit it's more important for the technique. I'm not really too bothered, but as long as she does them with correct technique. We've got 90 kilo for 10 reps on a push press on the log. If she jerks, it don't count. We've got stone over bar with a 90 kilo for 10 reps again, and that's to a 51-inch bar, so quite a decently high bar. Those are the two main ones. The circus dumbbell, the 45 kilo dumbbell, which is just the empty dumbbell, just for 10 reps. Not got a time frame on any of these, but that's got to be 1 rep on each arm, because she has a one arm that's weaker than the other on that. So I mean, all adds up to like 90 kilos, like 200 pounds, really, if you think about it, on every one of them. But they're the main goals. Now I'm not allowing her to use a belt, not even a soft belt. I'm allowing her to use wrist reps. Just, we don't want to injure the wrist and get stupid with things. But it's basically just very, very raw. I'm not even allowing her to use chalk at the moment. So when she comes back to using the equipment, she'll be, an awful lot stronger and doing bigger numbers. But there's no sleeves, no belt, nothing like that for the log. So just trying to get a core strong, and just not being too reliant on these things, and just it kind of gives you a little bit of a spring when you come later on to use them, and just mentally knowing that you've done those weights without any supports and that as well gives you a little bit of an edge going forward, and just ways to just kind of do a little bit sneaky with things in terms of getting the numbers in the end. So that's the plans right now. And I've banged on a bit here, but I won't bang on too much in other videos. But so that's what we're going to be doing for the next few weeks, maybe a month or so. Get as much filmed as possible. Kind of keep them in the short little videos, about 5 minutes normally. And yeah, so we'll just put the footage on now. We are going to be talking in the gym more. I've got a camera. Of course I've got a camera. I've got a microphone for my camera now. Normally in the gym you just can't hear anything you're saying, so we won't have on this talking in the gym, but in future we will do. Yeah, so enjoy the footage, and like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Trying out the channel, got to get this channel moving, and Yeah, me more soon.